Welcome students. So this is our second session about our topic sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In this session we are going to discuss about megasporogenesis. In the previous session we have already completed microsporogenesis, in which we have understood very well how microspores develops. So here we will go. As we have learned in the chapter that sexual reproduction takes place with the help of fusion of male and female gametes. So how male gametes are produced we have learned already, and now we'll see how female gametes will develop. So as we all know that female gamete will develop inside the female reproductive part, and in the flower gynoecium is the female reproductive part. So that gynoecium inside the flower is also called as carpel or pistil. So in common words we use that pistil is the female reproductive part of the flower. So here we will see the different parts of pistil. So pistil will have three distinct parts. First one is stigma, second one is the style, and the third one is ovary. The stigma is the part where pollen grains falls off, and here pollen tube germination takes place. Style provides the pathway for the transfer of male gametes from stigma to the ovary. And ovary, it is the swollen structure inside which ovules are placed. So these are three distinct parts of gynoecium, stigma, style and ovary. So basically the number of a style decides about the number of carpels present in a gynoecium. Some of the gynoeciums contains only one carpel, and those gynoeciums are called monocarpellary, and when there is presence of more than one carpel in the gynoecium, then that gynoecium is called bicarpellary and polycarpellary. In the condition of bicarpellary, there is presence of two carpels in one gynoecium, and if the number of carpels are more than two, that condition is called polycarpellary. Now if there is presence of more than two carpels in a gynoecium, then the condition will be different. Either those carpels are united or those will be free. So on the basis of the fusion of carpels, if these are fused or not, these carpels are of two types. First one is called apocarpus, where the carpels are free, and second one is called syncarpus, where carpels are united. So one point to be taken into mind that this condition is only applicable if there is presence of more than two carpels per gynoecium. So we can understand with the help of this diagram, if one carpel is present, then this condition is monocarpus. So one carpel per flower. And if there is presence of more than one carpel per flower, then here you can see both the carpels are free and acting independently. That is why that condition is called apocarpus. And in this condition you can see in the diagram that there are presence of more than one carpel, but all are fused, and that special condition is called carpels connate. So this is the number of carpels present inside any of the female reproductive part. So basic function of that ovary is that ovules are placed inside the ovary. These ovules are found inside the ovary, and number of ovules decides the number of seeds per flower. So now we'll see how ovules are placed inside. You can see in the diagram that just at the central position of each ovary there is one circular structure which is called ovule, and these ovules are connected with the wall of ovary with the help of one connection which is called placenta, and the space in between ovule and ovarian wall is called locule, and on the basis of these number of locules ovary can be monolocular, bilocular and polylocular also, that you have studied in previous class in class 11. So basically inside the ovary there are two distinct parts. First one is placenta, which is also called the connection between ovule and ovarian wall, and second one is called locule, and it is also called ovarian cavity or ovarian chamber. So these ovules are basically the structures inside them female gametophyte develops. Female gametophyte which is called embryo sac. So first of all we will understand the structure of ovule. So for that we will see a transverse section of. Now we'll see the structure of ovule. This is the structure of a typical anatropous type of ovule. Anatropous type of ovule is the type of ovule in which the ovule bends towards the funiculus. That means the site of funiculus and the ovule, that is just very close. So closely arranged these parts will be. So when ovule bends along the funicle so that the micropylar end comes in close proximity to the hilum, such type of ovules are called anatropous ovule. So there are varieties of ovules present in all the angiospermic plants such as orthotropous, amphitropous, comphilotropous, but basically approx 70% of the ovules are such type which is called anatropous type of ovule. So that anatropous type of ovule have following parts. First one is the funicular part. It is the extension of placenta on which this ovule is placed. So it is the short stalk. It is called short stalk. Second one is the hilum, which is called the junction between the ovule and funicle. See, you can see this region is called the hilum, which is the connection of ovule with the funiculus. Next one is integuments. So there are one or two covering over the main body of the ovule, and that covering is protective in nature, and these are called integuments. So two integuments are present, one is inner, another one is outer. Next type is micropylar end. This micropylar end, that is a small pore at the end of the ovule from which the entry of pollen tube takes place. So it is the entrance of pollen tube. Here you can see that the integuments are absent at this region just for the entrance of pollen tube. So that region is called micropylar end, and in the further lecture you will see what are the importance of this micropylar end, because the cells just nearby this micropylar end will grow into a new embryo sac. Next one, the nucellus. Nucellus is the main body of the ovule, and it comprises of the compact mass of cells, and each cell is productive, and each cell will have the capacity to grow a new embryo sac, but generally inside the one ovule only one embryo sac will develop. So on maturation only one cell from the nucellus will differentiate and undergoes further developmental process to form embryo sac. So this developed structure where female gamete lies is called female gametophyte, or it is also called embryo sac. Next part is chalazal end. Just from the opposite side of micropylar end, this end is called chalazal end. Chalazal end is the part where that integuments are fused with the funiculus. That is why this one is also called the base of the ovule. So these are some of the important parts of megasporangium, where ovule develops, and inside the nucellus these embryo sac will develop. Megaspore develops with the help of the process which is called megasporogenesis. Means megasporogenesis is the process through which megaspore develops from megaspore mother cell. Now, from where this megaspore mother cell will develop? So, megaspore mother cell, it is the initial cell which is present inside the nucellus cell. That means any of the cell of nucellus at the site of micropylar end differentiates and behaves as megaspore mother cell. Even each of the nucellus cell having the capacity to develop into megaspore mother cell, but only only one cell at the micropylar end differentiates and behaves as megaspore mother cell. Now this megaspore mother cell performs meiotic division to form 4 megaspore. As we all know that the product of meiotic division will be always 4 daughter progenies. That is why that single megaspore mother cell, when performs meiotic division, then the resultant cell will always be 4 in numbers. Here the diagram describes about the megasporogenesis. It is given the cellular structure of nucellus, where you can see the centrally located a bigger differentiated cell which is behaving as megaspore mother cell, and that megaspore mother cell is surrounded by some parietal cells of nucellus. This cell is placed at the micropylar end, which will perform the meiotic division. After the completion of the first phase of meiotic division, the megaspore mother cell will form megaspore dyad, that means 2 cells, and when these megaspore dyads will complete the second phase of meiotic division, then it will turn into megaspore tetrads. That means a linear structure of all the 4 daughter cells, which is combinedly called as megaspore tetrads. Now, 3 cells which are away from the micropylar end will degenerate. That means these are non-functional cells. These 3 are non-functional cells, and only one which is present at the tip, that means at the micropylar end, this cell will be the only functional megaspore. That means after the process of meiosis, 3 cells are the non-functional cells which will degenerate, and only one cell will behave as megaspore mother cell. Here you can understand with the help of this cellular structure. This is the megaspore mother cell or megasporocyte, which is diploid. When it completes the first phase, that means meiosis 1, then it will form the megaspore dyads, which is the combination of 2 cells, and these megaspore dyads then completes the second phase of meiosis and forms megaspore tetrads, and in that megaspore tetrads 3 cells will degenerate and only one will behave as a functional megaspore. Now this functional megaspore will complete the further developmental process and changes itself into the embryo sac or female gametophyte. So previously this is a haploid structure, and after division that will form in another way, which is called embryo sac. So we can see here that 3 cells will degenerate which are non-functional, and only one behaves as a functional megaspore. So that is the story of megasporogenesis, in which after differentiation, one cell from the nucellus region will behave as megaspore mother cell, and that megaspore mother cell will divides meiotically and forms 4 megaspores, in which 3 will degenerate and only one will be the functional megaspore, which will complete the further developmental changes and develops into the female gametophyte. Now we will see how female gametophyte will develop from that functional megaspore. So after the completion of meiotic division, there is one functional megaspore, and that functional megaspore will develops into a female gametophyte or embryo sac. That type of developmental process is called monosporic development, because here the developmental process takes place with the help of single megaspore. That is why it is called monosporic development, and approx 70% of angiospermic plants will have such kind of developmental process. That is why it is called monosporic. There are some species of plants in which biosporic and polysporic development also takes place, but this monosporic development, that is the special type of embryo sac development, which is commonly found in all types of angiospermic plants. It is also called as polygonum type, because such type of developmental process or such type of female gametophyte is first of all reported in a plant species which is Polygonum. That is why it is called polygonum type. So after the developmental process, the embryo sac that will form will have 7-celled 8-nucleate structure. That means it will have 7 cells and 8 nucleus inside a single embryo sac. That is why that structure is called 7-celled 8-nucleate structure. So in that developmental process, we have seen that megasporocyte or megaspore mother cell will perform one meiotic division and to form one megaspore, and 3 will degenerate. In the previous slide we have seen that 3 will degenerate and only one will act as functional megaspore. Now this functional megaspore will undergo further developmental process, and during that developmental process it will perform 3 sequential mitotic division. In that 3 sequential mitosis division, only karyokinesis takes place. That means nuclear undergoes rapid division, and that type of division is also called free nuclear division, because nucleus freely divides, and after completing 3 sequential mitosis it will form 8 nucleate structure. See here in the diagram, this functional megaspore, when it will complete first mitotic division, it will form 2 nucleus. Here is absence of cytokinesis, that is why only nucleus is present. Again these 2 nucleus performs second mitotic division and form the 4-celled structure. And again this 4 nucleus again performs one more mitosis and it will form 8 nucleate structure. When this structure will have 8 nucleus, then there is development of cytoplasm and a cytoplasmic wall around such nucleus. So 3 will 3 will gather at the one pole and 3 will gather at the another pole, and only 2 nucleus lies at the center. And then cytoplasmic division takes place as well as wall formation takes place, and it will gain such type of a structure. 3 will placed at the first one pole and 3 will placed at the another pole, and 2 will placed at the center of the cell, and that structure is called embryo sac or megagametophyte. Megagametophyte, embryo sac, this structure will be called, or female gametophyte also it can be called. So this is the structural development of embryo sac. So on complete developmental process, that embryo sac will be seen like this. This is a detailed structure of embryo sac where you can see all the cells here. 3 cells which are gathers at the chalazal end, those are called antipodal cells. 3 which gathers at the chalazal end are called antipodal cells. 3 which are present at the micropylar end are called egg apparatus. This egg apparatus will have 2 components. First, centrally located cell is called egg cell, and 2 surrounding cells are called synergids. And combinedly, these eggs and synergid cells both are combinedly called as egg apparatus. The centrally located nuclei are called polar nuclei, and this central cell, which is bigger in size, this bigger sized cell is called central cell, will have 2 nucleus. Those nucleus are called polar nuclei. At the base of the synergids there are some extension, and those extension are called filiform apparatus. Basic function of that filiform apparatus is to provide the path for the entry of pollen tube. So this is the position from where pollen tube enters. So here you have to take in consideration one important point, that the position of egg will describes about the micropylar end, and antipodal cells just describes about the chalazal end. So it is the typical structure of female gametophyte or embryo sac, which every megaspore will gain after the complete maturation. Next we will see how embryo sac formation takes place. So we will compile all the information just to know how embryo sac will form. So starting from the diagram, you can see one mother cell which is diploid, and it is also called embryo sac mother cell, and it will perform first meiotic division and forms megaspore tetrads, in which 3 will degenerate and only 1 will be the functional megaspore. That functional megaspore grows, and after growth it will perform mitosis, 3 sequential mitotic division. After completion of first mitotic division there is formation of 2 nuclei. Then from the second mitosis there is formation of 4 nuclei, and after completion of third mitotic division there is formation of 8 nuclei inside the megaspore, in which 3 which are collected at the chalazal end are called 3 antipodal cells, 3 which are placed at the base or micropylar end are called egg apparatus, in which 1 ovum or female gamete or egg cell is present and 2 synergids are present. 2 centrally located cells are called polar nuclei, and the cell where these polar nuclei lies are called central cell. So this is the mature embryo sac, and this embryo sac is now ready for the performance of fertilization. So this is all about the term megasporogenesis and embryo sac formation. In the next session we will see how pollination takes place, and after pollination how fertilization will takes place. Thank you.